Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vince Salerno podcast. This is episode 77. I'm your host, as always, Vince Salerno. And today we're going to be doing something a little different. So last weekend, I recorded a podcast episode with a very special guest. We were supposed to go for about 2 hours, and we ended up going for 3 hours. I will not say who the guest is yet, although those of you who may know me, and follow certain circles that I work in, you may know who the guest is. But regardless, I'm not going to reveal who that is until I'm ready to release that episode, which will probably be next week. It was a great conversation, great guest, a really good friend of mine who I've gotten to know in a pretty short amount of time. But it'll probably be the reason why it's not coming out this week is because, again, we went for 3 hours. So I had to figure out how to cut this thing down, or at least break this thing up into multiple episodes. So it might be 2 episodes, it might be 3 episodes. I don't know. I still have to figure that out, but I'm still watching through the footage, and it's great. It's gonna be such a great episode. I'm really excited to share that with you guys. But I did want to do something to release. I don't want to leave you guys hanging, and I'm on a roll with these episodes. It's very hard for me to stay on a consistent roll with the podcast, and right now I'm very motivated to stay consistent. So let's keep going. And I have some stuff that I want to talk about. Nothing major. This won't be a very long episode. Just something to tide you guys over until the very exciting episode coming up. I did want to talk about Superman. Now, we did get our first look at James Gunn's Superman movie in the form of this. Well, not the first look, but the first look at actor David Corenswet. I think that's how you say his name. Corenswet. I thought it was Corenswet for the longest time, but I don't think it is. I'm looking on Instagram. Corenswet. Okay, so it's I thought it was Corenswet. I guess you could say it that way, but I think it's Corenswet. David Corenswet. Okay. Hopefully I get a proper pronunciation on that, because I don't know if that's right, and I don't want to be pronouncing his name wrong. We got the first look at his Superman costume, and I will put it up on screen for those who haven't seen it. This was released on James Gunn's Instagram. It's a very simple image of David Corenswet in costume. He's on a couch, putting on his Superman boots. His suit looks to have a little bit of battle damage on it. And outside there is a giant, bizarre, obscure-looking death ray that is attacking the city. And so Superman is suiting up and getting ready to save the day. Very interesting and diverse reactions on social media. I hate to say it, but it seems like most people are negative on the suit. They don't like it. I was talking to my buddy Eric today, and he's in the camp. I understand. Like, look, I get why people don't like the suit. I think people want to see something a little more traditional, something a little more along the lines of Christopher Reeves. Look, and my opinion on that is you're never going to get that good of a suit, I think. And all we can hope for is the best. Like the best Superman costume has already been done, and it's Christopher Reeves. We can attempt, but I don't think anything's going to top that. I'm a big fan of Henry Cavill's Superman suit. I liked Brandon Routh's Superman Returns costume. My friend says that he thinks they will use multiple costumes in the movie, and I'd like to think that maybe they'll use multiple costumes. I'm not convinced that they will. I don't see why they would. I mean, unless he has this starter costume and it gets badly damaged, and at the end of the movie he has a brand new costume that is more traditional Superman. But I'll paraphrase my friend's response, which I think is a great encapsulation of what most people are thinking right now. Sorry, my hair is just not cooperating. He said, I kind of hate it. It feels like this movie was being hyped up as a return to form and focusing on the grassroots of Superman, and the suit doesn't give off that vibe. And he's not a fan of the emblem either. This emblem, this particular Superman logo, is pulled straight out of a comic book run called Kingdom Come. And I don't know DC Comics that well. I don't know the storyline all that well. I had a friend of mine explain it to me, and I just forgot what it is. But it's like an older Superman, and it's supposed to be like an edgier, older Superman with a edgier costume. So yeah, we've established that people don't like the costume. I am in probably at this moment the small minority that actually really likes the costume. Is it the best one we've ever had? I don't think so. And honestly, the only frustrating thing about the picture is that it doesn't give us a full view of the costume. I don't think this is a maybe this wasn't the right photo to post to give us put us at ease about what the costume would look like. I think people wanted to see like a more full on shot of the costume from head to toe. But let me just go down the list of why I like it and what I like. So first off, I've been a big fan of the emblem, the Kingdom Come Superman logo, mainly because, look, we've gotten traditional Superman logo emblem with both Brandon Routh and Christopher Reeve's Superman. We got Henry Cavill was obviously a very different type of emblem, unlike anything we had ever seen before, and not really inspired by anything we had seen before, at least to my knowledge. And I just think that every time you do a new Superman, you should try to make it a little different, take some risks. And I honestly am a fan of them doing a very different Superman S. It looks like the Superman S, and it's in red and it's in yellow. Honestly, those are my only prerequisites for a Superman costume. Like, it needs to be blue, it needs to be red, it needs to be yellow, it needs to have a cape, it needs to have the boots, and optional trunks at this point. I guess Henry Cavill was able to pull it off without the trunks, but most people would prefer the trunks. Jet black hair with the curl, Superman emblem, a cape, boots. The essentials are there, and maybe I'm more willing to go on this journey with this new costume and give it a chance, because for me, Henry Cavill is my Superman. Like, that's my I don't love everything that they did with the character. I wish they did more with the character, but as far as like characterization, as far as the way the costume looks in action and all that, like, my favorite Superman and my generation's Superman, I would say. Not to say that I don't think David Corenswet could easily take the cake from Henry Cavill. I think we got to give the guy a fair shot. But like, this is also like my reason why I'm so fine with like Matt Reeves doing another Batman movie while this new DCU does another Batman movie. Like these characters have had so many renditions done before, to the point where I think we can afford to take risks and try new things with other characters, whether it's the designs, whether it's the characterization of them, as long as you don't deviate from the core values and the core tenets of those characters, mind you. I'm not one of those Last Jedi supporters who thinks that we should have done what we did with Luke Skywalker in that movie. I'm just saying, I'm especially for comic book characters where actors are constantly replaying them. No actor stays in the role for too long. Like, I am totally fine with new interpretations and new ideas and new takes on these things. Just going back to Batman for a second, we had a very silly take on Batman in the 60s with Adam West, and people loved that. We had a more darker more zany take with Batman 89 and Batman Returns and Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and you know the mess that came with that people have very mixed opinions on. And then you got The Dark Knight, which is a very serious, dark tone, grounded. Like, what if Batman actually existed in real life? And then Henry Cavill's Superman was kind of in that same vein too, until he, you know, got joined up with Ben Affleck's Batman and Wonder Woman, and it became the DCEU. But I believe that was the initial, like, the idea was to do with Superman what they did with Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy. And then of course Ben Affleck, to me, like, Ben Affleck is my Batman. I think he is probably the closest you've ever gotten to comic book Batman. And you know, I will agree that he, you know, he went a pretty dark route with the character in Batman v Superman, but in later uh adaptations he kind of got that back to that, like, hopeful comic book roots. um yeah, there's a lot of dark stuff in Batman v Superman that even I'm not necessarily a fan of, but it was mostly to portray the Dark Knight Returns version of Batman, which was, I believe, Zack Snyder's. He said in multiple podcasts that was his original plan. That's what he still wants to do. I don't think he has any interest in doing like Snyder cut stuff that his fans are dying to have him do. And I'm speaking as a fan of the Snyderverse. Like, I'd love to see him come back and finish that off, but I think he's done. If he decides to make a proper The Dark Knight Returns live action adaptation, I'd love to see that. That'd be great. The point I'm trying to make, that I already made, but I'm going to make it again, is that Batman, Superman, like, these characters, especially these two characters, they have had so many different versions of them done over the decades. Like, they are the most, I'd say even more so than Marvel characters. They are the most iconic superheroes in pop culture. It doesn't matter if you've never seen the movies, or if you've never read a comic book, or if you've never watched any of the cartoons that they've been in. Like, people know who Batman and Superman are. I work with somebody who hates superheroes, but she knows who Batman and Superman are, at the very least. And so, I look, I'm fine with this. I'm fine. I don't need this to be like Christopher Reeve's 2.0 Superman. And if there is a second costume that appears in this movie that is more faithful to the like what people want from a Superman costume, a traditional Superman costume, then I'll love that too. I'll be on board with that. But if this is it, if this is the James Gunn Superman costume that will be his costume for the entire DC universe going forward, I'm cool with that. And honestly, I hope so, because I am kind of sick of when Marvel tries to recreate the costumes or makes new slight renditions of the costumes with each movie just so they can sell more toys. It's like, just sell the same toy. I mean, I don't know. I get it's marketing and all that, but like, people got away with that with Henry Cavill's Superman. I don't understand. So, that's my spiel on as far as whether this needs to be a traditional Superman costume, or if this take on the character can't be too different, or it can't take risks. There have been, and these characters are like Sherlock Holmes. I mean, like, how many Sherlock Holmes movies have there been over the vast amount of years since Arthur Conan Doyle wrote those books? Like, maybe they're not as notable, but there are vast amounts of adaptations of Sherlock Holmes in the media. Are you going to tell me that those are not legit? Are you going to tell me that Robert Downey Jr. is like the definitive Sherlock Holmes, and he has a stake on that role, and nobody could ever even attempt to try and be Sherlock Holmes? I mean, heck, Henry Cavill played Sherlock Holmes in the Millie Bobby Brown Holmes movies. I forget what they're called. Point being, like, these characters are bigger than just like, like they're not the MCU. Where the MCU, it's going to be hard to escape Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. playing those roles, and I think they will. I think if rumors about a full on reboot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is on the way, then I think that's the direction we're heading in, is those characters getting recast, and you're gonna see new actors inhabit those roles. Like, more than one person has played Superman, and more than one person has actually played Batman. So it's a little, I guess, it's a little naive of me to assume that Twitter and social media would not react in this way about a Superman costume looking different than what people would expect, or people having complaints about, or not fitting their imagination. But to compare it to Henry Cavill's costume, or to compare it to Christopher Reeve's costume, as if it needs to be that costume, like, that costume already exists, and it exists in 4 movies that you can go back and watch today. Why can't this costume be a little different? I mean, it's a lot different, I'll give you that, but like, it's got the essential elements of what makes a Superman costume. So I'm not saying I have a problem with people's opinion on this, but like, if we're expecting this to be like the quintessential looking costume, that's at least not my expectation. And I suggest people check your expectations, like, lower them, and then, and I trust James Gunn too. I mean, that's another thing. It's like, he made Guardians of the Galaxy, and albeit Guardians of the Galaxy didn't really have much of a following, and he had a little more room to play, and he made it his own, and he made it iconic because of his additions to those characters. But you look at something like the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker, and those, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a more faithful comic book movie than the Suicide Squad. I mean, I take that back. I think it's in there. It's in the top 10 for sure, because I think the way he described when he was making that was he was making a continuation of the original comic book run, not a like blank slate type movie. Like, he understands comic books. He understands comic book movies. And funny enough, Suicide Squad was the thing that convinced me that he could do Superman. I didn't walk out of the theater thinking, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see his Superman." But I walked out thinking, okay, he could definitely pull off more than just the Suicide Squad or Guardians of the Galaxy-esque team. And when he was announced as the director of Superman, or the writer of Superman, I wasn't really all that shocked. I was actually excited, because I like James Gunn as a filmmaker. I like James Gunn's storytelling sensibilities. His humor can be a little, hit or miss, I will admit. And I think he went way too dark with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I know some people would disagree, but I think that movie is almost unwatchable for how dark it is compared to the previous 2 installments, which I think are almost perfect movies. But I trust him. I think he's going to pull off a great movie. I love the casting choices he's made, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to see a Superman movie, guys. We've been starved for a proper solo Superman movie since Man of Steel. I don't really count Batman v Superman or the Justice League. I mean, yes, Superman was in those movies, and he was great. He was fantastic. But there weren't Superman movies. They were movies with Superman in them. And I want to live and play in this world, in this 21st century world we live in. I want to see Superman. Well, maybe not our world today, because, gosh, I would Superman trying to combat PC culture. That'd be a movie. So maybe not our world per se, but you know, in a modern aesthetic lens, seeing Superman and with what we can do with technology, with what we can do, with what we know about comic book adaptations, with the envelope being pushed further than it's ever been pushed with comic book movie storytelling, superhero storytelling. I want to see what we can do, what James Gunn can do. So, yeah, sorry. I was going to talk about the costume and I just went right into why we should not compare this to other suits or why we should be excited for James Gunn Superman. I'm not saying you guys should be excited for James Gunn Superman. I'm just saying I'm excited. You guys can feel how you feel. That's just my opinion. If you have a problem with it, well, let me know in the comments and I'd love to discuss it with you on a friendly basis, but that's probably not going to happen because it's the internet. Okay, let me actually talk about the costume because I do want to talk about the costume. I didn't think this whole episode was going to be about Superman, but I'm kind of glad because I don't have much else to talk about. I need to fill some time. Okay, let's see. Okay, so as I said before, the image is of David Corenswet's Superman getting dressed. He's getting suited up. He's putting on his boots. He's sitting on a couch. There's a giant window behind him, and it looks to be some sort of giant death ray terrorizing the city, and Superman's getting suited up to take care of business. Now, to address some criticisms, I will admit, like I said, I don't think this was the best picture to show people because I think people want to see a full head-to-toe look at the suit, and I don't think this is exactly what is going to help sell people on it. And I think that Death Ray thing looks kind of dumb. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, it doesn't look dumb. It just looks out of place. I don't know if that was an effect they added in post or if that's like a volume type screen and it just didn't translate well in photography. I don't know. I will give you that. Like the background is not that great. It may have been better to just have like a night sky and Metropolis in the background. That is Metropolis, so that's pretty cool. But as far as the costume itself is concerned, so it looks like first off, let's go from head to toe. I think I think David Corenswet got like facial surgery or something because it's uncanny how he looks. He looks great. Like he's got the hair. He's got. I mean, I thought his face was a little more round, and he's got the jawline and everything that I would expect from Superman. He looks great. He looks great. He's got the demeanor. He's got the hair. I can't get over how good he looks as Superman. Costume aside, I think he has the look down. And with clips I've seen of him acting, like I think he is definitely going to pull off that like Boy Scout Superman charm. Like I think James Gunn is going to give us like that truth, justice, in the American way Superman that has been missing since debatably since Brandon Routh's Superman. So he's got a collar, and that's new. I've heard that that's from a comic book run called The New 52. And if you follow My Time to Shine Hello on Twitter, they're like a scooper. They put out leaks and stuff for movies. They put out an image of what they were told the suit resembles. Not an exact one-for-one look at the suit, but like this is like a Fortnite version of Superman, and that this was probably like a 75% match for the suit, and it's pretty close actually. The suit has a collar, much like in the New 52, as I said, which some people like, some people don't like. I think it's cool. I think it's fine. There's a lot of like intricacies and designs, like especially at the shoulders where the cape meets the shoulders and it wraps around the neck. It's kind of cool. It's interesting. It looks like kind of like shoulder pads, but they're built into the suit, or at least the design is like singling out like the shoulders. And then there's some intricacies. There's some spots on the knees for knee pads. The boots have these like lines that ride up from the bottom to the top. There's some nice treads on those shoes. He's got a cape. The logo, the emblem, is, I believe, the same one we saw in that first image that James Gunn put out, I believe, on Twitter, when they first started filming, and it was like the Superman emblem in the snow. I believe it was this costume. So this is that same costume, I believe. It looks to have some battle damage on it, like maybe some fire thrown at it. It looks like it's kind of burnt, and you can't really see, but he does have a belt, and he does have some red trunks, and I like that. I've been wanting for the trunks to come back, and the belt. I never hated. I don't know. I was one of the few that surprisingly got used to Superman without the trunks, as far as Henry Cavill was concerned. I mean, it just, like, once you accepted it, it just kind of like, who cares? And I will admit, I've wanted to see that. I think that is kind of an essential part of Superman, and I understand why they got rid of it in Man of Steel. But I'm happy to see the trunks back. Nothing really else to say about it, other than I'm just happy to see Superman wearing some red underwear, because it's the aesthetic. Oh man, I did not expect to be talking about Superman's underwear today. And that's really it. I mean, I think the background is the thing that, at least for me, makes the image come off a little like it's not a great background. But the costume looks great, and I think it's going to look even better in motion. And people are worried that, like, it's there's like folds and stuff, that, like, the pose and the demeanor of Superman is, like, people are just drawing some really like nitpicky gripes with this. It's so funny. I think I saw somebody on Twitter today say, it looks like he's, like, not looking forward to putting on his costume and going to save the world. Like, my Superman, it isn't like that. My Superman is ready for action. My Superman is confident and powerful. Like, guys, I don't think that's what's going on here. Either like David Corenswet was just putting on the suit and someone snapped a photo, or he was actually posing. Who knows? But, like, or someone said, my Superman changes from his costume into a telephone box. Like, this is a confirmation that he's not going to confirm Superman will not be changing into his costume in a telephone box. And even if he doesn't, are you going to say the same thing? Like, some of the nitpicks are just hilarious and nitpicky, for a lack of a better word. I just don't understand. Again, maybe it's just because I've accepted that, like, there have been other versions of this character, and there will be other versions of this character once David Corenswet's run as Superman ends, which is probably not going to be for, like, maybe 10 years or something. But God forbid, if we're all still alive by then, there will be another actor to play Superman. There will be another actor to play Batman. There will be another actor to play all of these characters in the DC, because this is probably going to go on for a while, and then it's going to reboot. And that's just me. I think it's just, we need to be able to accept that things are going to look different. People are going to take risks on things. I don't want to see every Superman wearing the exact same costume. I want the color scheme to be the same. I want the characterization to be the same, of course. But it's okay if the suits are fine. I mean, like, if we're okay with in the comics, the suits being different, why would we not be okay with the suits being different in the movies? And again, I understand that it's not that's not people's gripes. It's the look of the suit. I just happen to think it looks fine. I think we all need to just relax and give this suit a chance before we just say, oh, it's not going to work. It's horrible. This movie's hopeless. James Gunn is hopeless. James Gunn screws it up again. Let's just wait for the movie to come out. Let's wait for a trailer to come out, and let's see. I'm excited. Nothing has changed my excitement. Superman is one of my all-time favorite characters in fiction. I'm happy to get another Superman movie. I will continue to be optimistic until I have a reason not to be optimistic. That's how I usually deal with most things. I was optimistic about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny until the movie came out, because that's just how I operate. You know, I'm a hopeful person. I'm always going to be the optimist. And when movies come out and they don't turn out the way they're supposed to, or the way I think they're supposed to, yeah, I'll come out and say that was crap. Dial of Destiny was crap. So until I have a reason to be upset, and I don't yet, I'm going to keep on being excited for another Superman movie. And believe me, this image, despite its flaws, only gets me more excited for James Gunn's Superman. And that's all we got today, folks. Thank you for listening to me rant about Superman's costume for 34 minutes. I appreciate it. If you guys want to check out some of my old episodes, please subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe to my channel so you can check out my short films. I have trailer reactions. Occasionally I'll upload them on here. Video essays, or I'm still working on that stuff. I promise I will release them at some point. I've yet to pull the trigger on production, but I'm having fun doing the research. And there's other projects. I'm always working on other projects. Some stuff I can't share with you guys, but I am very excited to be working on, and hopefully I'll get to announce some stuff maybe this year. We'll see. But until then, thank you for listening to the podcast. Let me know what you think about Superman's costume, about about David Corenswet's Superman costume, and let me know what you think about the movie. If you're excited for it, if you're looking forward to it, if you're not, what do you think about the casting? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, for listening. Have a fantastic day. God bless, and peace out.